Thinking Out Loud with Dave Palmer. Here on Morning Joy, where truth matters.
Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and right now we've got something very special for you. It's time, obviously, for our segment, Thinking Out Loud with Dave Palmer. And today, he's joining us not from Dallas, not even from Texas, but halfway around the world. Good morning, or I should say, good afternoon, Dave.
Yeah, good afternoon, Keith. I've been waiting to say this. Afternoon joy in Medjugorje. It's so good to be with you. And normally it's Bedford, Texas, where I do my broadcast. And today we are in the studios of Mary TV, right across the street from St. James Parish, in the heart of Medjugorje. And so I know I have very little time, but do you want me just to start telling you what's going on? It's very, very exciting. We're having such a great time so far.
I bet. Yeah, tell us, what are you doing over there in Medjugorje?
Well, first of all, we have about 30 pilgrims, most of whom are from North Texas, but there are some others. We've got pilgrims from Boston, one from Washington State, and different parts, St. Louis, but mostly from North Texas. And I do want to thank, first of all, Elizabeth Victory, because she is the one that organized this whole trip. She's in the studio with about half of the 30 pilgrims right now. You might be able to hear them. They're probably going to cheer a little bit here. And without Elizabeth Victory, we could not have done this. And I also want to thank Cecil Anderson, because she has been doing all the technical issues, and she's been running around with her camera. We're putting a documentary together for this, as you know, Keith. And so at some point in the future, people are going to be able to see a lot of what we are doing. And the other thing is, there are 6 visionaries of Medjugorje. One of them is Iván, and we are staying at his private residence. Okay, we're there every single evening at 6:40 local time. Iván receives an apparition of Our Lady. So every single night we've been in his private chapel and we pray the rosary, and we've been able to witness this. Of course, we don't see Our Lady, but he does, and we're able to see this and then get the message that's translated by our guide, Ivanka, who is very interesting, amazing guide. She was 13 years old in 1981, June 1981, when these visions first started. She was living here. And so to have a guide who was living here as a teenager, and as you might know, Keith, most of the visionaries were teenagers, anywhere from 10 to 16 at the time of those first visions. So that's what's going on. We have 2 local priests with us, Father Scott Wooten from St. John Vianney Parish in Cleburne, Texas, and also Father Wilson, who's from Holy Trinity Parish in Azle, and of course, Mass every single day. And it's just been absolutely amazing. And so, Keith, I will tell you that of all the days, really of the year, for us to do our live broadcasts, it's going to be me today, and then Cecil tomorrow, and then Sean Rice, our VP, on Thursday. These are the 3 most significant days, because we are this year celebrating the 44th anniversary of the first visionary, the first apparition, which was on, really June 25th of 1981. But today, on the Feast of St. John the Baptist, for those who don't know the history of Medjugorje, this is the day when 5 of the children, including 4 of the eventual 6 visionaries, first saw Our Lady on the hill, and she was floating, and they all kind of got freaked out, and so they ran away. So they didn't get a chance to speak to her on that day. So that was the anniversary of the first vision. But it was tomorrow, on June 25th, that is the actual anniversary. And you can feel it here in Medjugorje, because buses are coming and there's a lot of people. In fact, tomorrow evening for the Mass, we're expecting about 55, 60, 70,000 people to be at this Mass. So it is just an electric atmosphere here. And, Our Lady calls herself Queen of Peace here. And that's what everybody says when they come here, is they feel a sense of peace. I was talking to one of our teenage pilgrims last night, and I said, what would you say? And she said, peace. She quoted St. Padre Pio about pray, and do not, pray, hope, and do not worry. And she said, that's how I feel when I'm here. Even though it's busy, even though it's crowded, it's just amazing. And there's just so much going on. Like I said, we've been able to go to Mass every single day. There was this morning something called a Peace March, which started back in the early 90s when war was breaking out, the Bosnian War here in this region. And so there was a German gentleman who started a peace march, and it's been going on every year ever since. 5 of our pilgrims from among the 30 participated in that this morning, and it's about 8 or 9 miles, and took them a few hours, including Sissel and her friend Isabel were part of that as well. So there's a whole lot going on, but I think one of the very important things, Keith, about this, as I mentioned before, is that Our Lady has a lot of names, a lot of titles, but this one is Queen of Peace. And we know that our world is not at peace right now. If anybody's been following the news in the last couple of weeks, we know that we're not at peace in many parts of the world right now. And not only did Our Lady introduce herself as Queen of Peace, but she said to the children on that June 25th, she said, God exists. And that was significant because at that time, this region was under communist rule. You were not allowed to talk about God. You were not allowed to have public gatherings. And so for them to even gather and have a vision of Our Lady, that was illegal. And so there's always a reason why Our Lady appears where she did. But she also said at that time, and I think it's true today, she said a lot of people live as if God does not exist. Okay, so that is her message. Peace, God exists, and that we should live as if God exists. All right, so that's what's going on. There's a number of things that we've been able to participate on. I'll mention one of them real quickly, and I know you probably have some follow-up questions, Keith, but we got here on Saturday, and Sunday morning, our guide Ivanka took us to what's called Apparition Hill. This is where the apparitions happened. And you can climb, it's about a little over a mile, 1.2 miles or so, and it's like rugged rocks. It's not an easy climb, but it's amazing because you get up to the top and there's stops all along the way where you can pray decades of the rosary, and then you get to the top of the hill, and this is where the actual apparition happened. But some people decide to do it barefooted. There are some people that are elderly that do it. I saw elderly people with canes doing it barefooted. And so it's a place of sacrifice. It's a place of prayer. And it's, like I've said before, it's a place of peace. And so I just recommend, if somebody hasn't been to Medjugorje, come at least once in your life, because this is a beautiful, beautiful Catholic place in the world. And it's a place of grace, and it's a place of peace.
That's incredible. If you're just tuning in now, we're talking with Dave Palmer. He's in Medjugorje, an incredible place from, especially since how you've been describing it, Dave. I'm curious though, what were your very first impressions stepping into this little village? I mean, with such a big spiritual legacy.
Yeah, well, my expectations were so high, and my first impressions was that it was fully Catholic. I mean, everywhere you look, you see signs of our faith. You should see the vendors here. I mean, I've never seen so many rosaries and crucifixes and statues of Our Lady, and so you feel like it's not a perfect place. There's no perfect place in the world. But you feel like there's a like-mindedness. You feel like you're at a restaurant and you say a prayer, like nobody's going to say, "Oh, look, those people are praying," like it's just ordinary. Or if you walk down the street and you see somebody praying the rosary, it's just kind of what everybody does. And one other thing I want to mention, I mentioned about Iván, that we're staying at his residence, Keith. Yesterday morning, Iván himself treated us to a talk at the location where it all happened, because his place is just, a stone's throw from Apparition Hill. So we all gathered, and he told us, where he was on that first, day on June 24th, when he saw Our Lady, and then he ran back to his house because he was actually wanted to go watch a basketball game, and so he ran back and he was going back, and then he got called by one of the other visionaries. So to get the firsthand kind of account from Iván at the place when it actually happened, I mean, it's priceless. And we're really just getting started. Like I said, today's the anniversary of the first apparition when they saw Our Lady. Tomorrow's the big day. So tomorrow's going to be really the climax, I think, of the anticipation of what we've been preparing for so much this week.
Wow. We're very, very excited for you. And I know we'll be hearing from Sissel Anderson, who's also there with you on her segment, Fruitful Living. So.
Yeah, we sure will. And if I may mention, yesterday we had a chance to visit 3 different parishes. I mean, we've been very busy and going to a lot of different places. And one of the parishes had a firsthand relic of St. Anthony. And today we said a mass at a place called Divine Mercy, where they had first-class relics of St. John Paul II and also St. Faustina. And so it's a blessing to be in Medjugorje, but we're getting like extra blessings. I mean, we're getting to go to all these amazing places. We were at a church yesterday where 66 Franciscan priests lost their lives in the mid-1940s. Because of the communists. And so you realize that this is a place where there has been a lot of sacrifice, and this is a place where people have lost their lives, and you can't take any of it for granted. We can't take our Catholic faith for granted. And it's just, like I said, a place to feel every ounce of our Catholicism and live it joyfully and also with great hope and with great peace.
Well said. I know we've got about 30 seconds left, but if someone's looking to make the pilgrimage out to Medjugorje, what would you one thing that you would recommend that they bring or do?
Oh gosh, bring lots of dollar bills, bring your rosaries, bring your things that you want to get blessed, and just bring an open heart to believe that this is real. I've talked to people that are doubting, and I think you have to bring an openness also to what the Lord wants to give you when you're in Medjugorje. You have to have that open disposition so that you can receive the blessings and the graces that God has prepared through Our Lady.
Awesome. Incredible. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us. We appreciate you. Be safe. And just a reminder, too, to make sure to subscribe to Morning Joy. We'll give you all the updates on the documentary in the future. But that is it for the first hour of Morning Joy, where truth matters. Make sure to find us on social media just by searching Morning Joy Radio or GRN online. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll know the moment we go live. Hey, and tomorrow we'll be joined by Sissel Anderson, who's going to be tuning in from Bosnia as well. So make sure to tune in for that. For those unable to stick around for the second hour of Morning Joy, we'll see you bright early tomorrow, same time, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. Make it a joyful day. For those others, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this quick coffee break.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.